Tonight we have made history. The Greens have won the lower house seats of Ryan and Griffith in Queensland.
Australia woke up this week to a new political reality. There were so many surprises in this election, but few as big as the Greens in Queensland. So how is it that a state that's home to Clive Palmer and Matt Canavan and Pauline Hanson has now served up what they're calling a Greenslide? How are you feeling?
Elated, confused, surreal.
Yeah, still in a bit of shock, I think.
Architect Professor Libby Watson-Brown and party strategist Max Chandler-Mather are two of Queensland's first ever federal Greens MPs. You know the way the rest of the country sees
Perceives
Queensland.
as we know so well.
When it comes to politics.
Rednecks, are we?
Queensland's the state of coal mining and of
and
Clive
the state
Palmer.
of Pauline Hanson and Clive Palmer,
Yeah.
etc., etc. I'm old enough to remember when we were all radicalised under a police state with Joe Bielke-Peterson.
The Greens already have two MPs in the state parliament representing virtually the same areas of Brisbane as Libby and Max. So you grabbed a Labor-held seat. Libby, you grabbed a LNP-held seat. What does that tell us?
It tells us that people are sick of the old parties. I call them old, they call themselves major. They're not major anymore, clearly. Both have absolutely hemorrhaged votes. And so many people who, for example, were kind of loyal Liberal voters came up to me at the polls and spoke to me at the doors and said, Elizabeth, I've been a lifetime Liberal voter. I can't do it anymore.
Do you think a lot of people are making the switch from Liberal to Green?
Yeah. I think my family have done that, yeah. My direct family.
Were you surprised to see so many people voting Green?
Totally surprised.
What do the Greens want? They want to stop mining. They want to stop digging up coal. Coal is the lifeblood of Queensland.
Why did they vote for the Greens?
Why does anybody vote for the Greens? They've got to have rocks in their head.
The major parties are losing their image. It's fading.
Former ALP Senator John Black has been modelling electoral patterns for 47 years. But so how does Queensland become the Greenslide state?
So in all this inner city area, called the Goat Cheese Circle for want of a better name, this is Labor here, historically, around about 34 or whatever, and the Green vote went up. It took the votes directly from Labor. Why? Because there was no Teals. They hoovered up Labor voters who wanted to send a message to the Labor Party.
But these Greens say they're a totally different thing to the Teals.
Say what you like, but if there'd been a Teal here, they wouldn't have won these seats.
The Teal independents didn't run in Queensland. Are you effectively filling that space?
No, not at all. I mean, obviously, we agree with... Basically, they ran on three things. But our offer is so much broader than that. And time and again, people brought things up with me, like refugee treatment, like healthcare, like free education, please, that'd be great, free childcare.
I just want to find out if you voted for either of the major parties.
Yep, the Liberals.
Yep. Also?
Yep.
What do you make of this Greenslide?
I think it's good as long as it all works in Parliament.
Had your family ever voted Green before?
Not before.
And what was the reason? Why go with the Greens?
Yeah, because the reason is that because all the time they come into our community function. That's helped them to be famous in the community. That's why they get a good majority.
Do you know how many doors have been knocked, how many conversations have been had?
Yeah, in Griffith we've knocked on just over 90,000 doors. Had about 29,000 conversations over the last 14 months.
We know what the community wants and we will be in there representing them and arguing for those things.
But how do they win a Liberal seat?
Because the Liberal brand didn't mean much anymore. So if you've got a dud candidate and you've got no profile for your party and you've run a small target strategy for the last 3 years thinking that's clever, you've got nothing to defend yourself against if your candidate is just plain unpopular.
All of these seats are on the river. How much of a factor is that, given the flooding?
I think it was a pretty important thing that actually brought to people's minds the results of the problems with inadequate action on climate.
The Greenslide is not just confined to Queensland. There will be 4 members in the lower house: Leader Adam Bandt, Libby, Max and Stephen Bates. And potentially 3 additional Greens in the upper house, 1 each from New South Wales, South Australia and Queensland, giving them a total of 12 senators and the balance of power.
We're going to need a bigger room.
The Queensland Senate vote for the Greens is 14%. One Nation's is 7%. Now, that includes large swings to the Greens in rural and regional Queensland as well. On our current trajectory, there is absolutely no reason why over the next 10 to 20 years we're not going to see a Greens government.
You want to be the Prime Minister one day, don't you?
No, I think that's you know, like something that you're going to see someone future off, not me, someone else off in the future.
Well, good luck to them. They weren't going anywhere until Albanese's net satisfaction scores sunk into negative territory.
There's going to be a big crossbench in the lower house, and I think it'll be incumbent upon all parties to find a way to work together, and we're looking forward to doing it.
And Anthony Albanese said is what he's trying to do is actually bring us all together. So we're going to be part of that.
I wonder if they're going to be able to sort of replicate that in other states like Sydney, for example, because I know the seat of Greenslide and also the seat of the City of Sydney has quite a big sort of Greens primary vote and very similar characteristics to the seats that we saw fall to the Greens in Melbourne. So I wonder at the next election, I mean, I know it's too early to predict. We're only a week out from the last election. But you know, it's if they continue with that strategy of having that really strong community support, knocking on 90,000 doors.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason why they couldn't.
There'll definitely be some teals at the next election in Queensland, you reckon?
Yeah, probably, yeah.